Hey, I'm back live. Apologies for the network challenges that we are having. You are welcome to Meet for Exports episode 13. It's good to have you here. It's good to be back after a while. Okay, I can see my guest, and I'm inviting her to join my live. Um, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. It's going to be an interesting conversation on Made for Exports. We showcase value added products from Africa because we want our exporters to export value added products, not just us exporting raw materials all the time. And we want you to know that there are a number of products that have been created to export standards that you can take advantage of. These products are in your backyard, they are close to you, and you should just take advantage of them. Okay, so I've invited you to join. I don't know if you have seen my request to join. Okay, it says that you are not able to join. Okay, so you send me a request now. If you send me a request now, I can see that it's saying you are not able to join. But if you send me a request, send me a request now, and then I'll add you to the video. Okay, I can see your own request. Um, um, I'm sure we should be able to go live in a couple of seconds. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Good evening, Ma. Good
Yeah, it's a great
evening.
evening, and I guess some people are just scared of what might happen. So, because I don't really know why it had to take this long.
Long to join. You might have to turn your camera the way it was before. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Wow. 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 It's good to have you here
Thank
this
you.
evening, Ma.
Thank
I'm
you.
super,
Good
super
evening,
excited to
everyone.
have you here. Yes, our guest is in this evening. It was a challenging experience joining. Sometimes Instagram is just very funny like that. But you are very, very welcome, ma. Okay,
Thank
so let me just
you.
read her profile and then we'll go right into the conversation. Instagram has tried to steal our time, but we're just going to I'll just read her profile so that you can know who we are talking to, and then we'll go into the conversation. Okay, my guest today, Mrs. Bosun Solarin, is an entrepreneur. She's a farmer. She's an agro processor, an exporter, and a seasoned general practitioner in traditional and herbal remedies. She's the visionary founder of Dasun Integrated Farms, an indigenous agro processing company dedicated to harnessing the power of nature to enhance lives. Additionally, she established BUUSTA Herbal and Natural Remedies Clinic, where individuals receive holistic wellness counseling and treatment, utilizing herbal teas as natural remedies. She has undergone extensive training, including programs from Goldman Sachs, 10,000 Women, the Sherry Blair Foundation, the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation on Women Advocacy, the Certificate in Entrepreneurial Management, ITC SME Trade Academies, and she has done over 40 courses in that academy, Empretech and UNCTAD. And she's an active member of several associations, including the Lagos State Chamber of Commerce and Industry, SMIDAN, Lagos State MSME, NASIMA, to mention a few. She has received training from the Lagos State Traditional Medicine Board. Kindly welcome with me to Made for Exports this evening, Mrs. Bosun Solarin. Thank you so much, Ma. We are super, super excited to have you here this evening. You are very welcome. So welcome my guest in the comments. Tell her that you are very happy to have her this evening. Thank you. Okay, so Ma, can you tell us about your background? What were you doing before you started this business?
Wow. Good evening, viewers. Good evening, listeners and joiners. And then a, a, a very good evening to the anchor person, the convener of this program. It's my pleasure being here tonight, and it promises to be very insightful and educative. That
Hmm.
I can assure you.
Hmm.
But coming to say that if I start my background, it will take the
Hmm.
whole of our time. But you see, maybe basically to just tell you that I retired from civil service in 2004 as
Hmm.
a manager in NSITF, Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund. I retired on my own
Hmm.
because then, as a unionist, when they were going to deregulate the pension scheme,
Hmm.
the first thing they will likely do is to remove all the unionists. So I saw that coming and I just removed myself. And so when I retired, a lot of people started saying, "Oh, Bosun has retired though. Only God knows what she has heard." And people started dropping letters. At the time, they stopped people from going. So it was that funny. Meanwhile, they didn't know my reasons for leaving. Even
Hmm.
then, I wasn't even pensionable. But of course, when you are not
Hmm.
lazy, that you believe in yourself, nothing, because when you are in civil service, people are waiting for when they are pensionable so that they can keep collecting something at the
Yeah.
end of the month. And I wasn't just
Yeah.
bothered. Because then each year we were attending, myself and one colleague, we were attending Pastor Mashio Ashimolowo's Winning Ways in National
Hmm.
Stadium then. And he
Yes.
said something. He said something, one germane thing that still keeps resonating today. He said, Jacob worked for Laban, and for Jacob's sake, God prospered Laban. That
Hmm.
God has promised to prosper the work of your hand. So whether you're doing it for yourself or you're doing it for somebody else, he has promised to prosper that work. So he now admonished us, go and start something on your own. So that was 203. That was 203. So I kept thinking of what to do. So myself and that colleague, we went out to go and look for we were thinking of what to do. So eventually I resolved to go into dry cleaning. And so
Hmm.
when we did, so we went to go and look for materials together. We went to trade fair. That year, I bought buckets, I bought table, and I bought everything. He bought too, but till today he didn't start. But like me, so I started the thing in February 2004. Then I was still working. So I had
Hmm.
people who were doing it for, I got professionals who were working for my friends. So when I have clothes, they will do it. I'll pay them off, they go. All that while I was learning it. And let me tell you today, if you're doing any business and you don't know it, just run and go and learn it.
Hmm.
Because your staff will know you don't know it and they will mess you up in the process. So eventually I became a professional in dry cleaning. I was now getting people who don't know it and I was training them.
Hmm.
Then fast forward, 2026, my coming into agribusiness is divine. 2020, 2016, I was in America because I didn't go anywhere. So I was watching TBN, I was changing channels. Then Marcus Lamb was raising money for Israel. So fast forward, he raised that money, it was huge, and I paid it. I didn't know why. I just fell in love with that. And today I have a piece of paper, an A4, where my land is charted. So if I go to Israel today, I can go and see that land. But what he was saying is that for as many as would donate to Israel, they use their land for agriculture. And so that's where they get their money from.
Hmm.
And so I came back to Nigeria, and I don't know what happened. It was Lagos International Trade Fair. And I went looking for Ministry of Agri, Lagos or Federal, and I didn't see anyone. So the only one I saw was something close to a fabricator from Ibadan. So I got their brochure and I started. And the following day, I called my elder brother. I wanted land. And he said, don't go to that your village. They are fighting there. Why will you go there? I said, okay, if you are not getting from me from Odelemo, get from me from Shagamu. I said, Shagamu land too. There's problem. And I wasn't going to allow anything deter me. So what did I do? I just went as I was going. I just saw some people advertising land in Owode Egba along Abeokuta. So I called them, I followed them, and the rest is history. I bought the land. Then it was now, what am I going to plant? Why I'm saying this story is that when purpose is running after you, or you have a purpose sitting over you that must manifest, there's nothing that you do. So for as many of us, the reason why we're alive is because there's a purpose for which God has called all of us. So let us follow truly to be able to find that purpose and find fulfillment. My story today, finding myself where I am, I guess God wanted me to learn from the scratch. Because then I started farming. Let me fast forward. Then it was like, what are you going to farm? I started thinking. I said, I don't want cassava because the trouble is too much. Then I zeroed on plantain. I said, plantain replaces itself. Once you plant the first one, it will keep bringing more suckers and co. So I zeroed on that one. Then I said again, I want to plant 3,000, but I won't plant at once so that all won't be matured at the same time. I don't need to harvest. So I want to keep having. So I planted them in 600, 600. Then I entered International Trade Center, She Trades. Then they had given Nigeria ginger. So as a farmer, then I started planting ginger. Ginger was the story. In fact, the story of the plantain, I made sure the guy brought the first 600, planted it, and I looked at how he was doing it. So the next set, I just got suckers, and I got my own men. We planted it ourselves. That was the story how I planted all. Then ginger. Where will I see ginger? I went online again. It's from Kaduna, so I called the guy, and it was going to cost me 460 then in 2018. So and he said I must pay 250. So I paid. He was going to nurse it till harvest. So I paid 250 for this guy to bring ginger, rice up. It wasn't forthcoming. I said, hey, 250. So eventually they brought the thing to mile 12. I went to pick it. Come and plant became a story again. And me, I don't ever like to hear no for an answer. So I just went on Google, YouTube, teach me how to plant ginger. So I learned it. I got my men. That's how we planted ginger. So fast forward 2020, we were harvesting plantain one of the days, and there was this heavy storm. So we went inside. After 2 hours, the lady with me, working with me, went outside so that we can continue. And she shouted, what is it? She said, come and see. When I came out, over 400 trees, plantain trees, had fallen from that storm.
Wow.
About 200 were carrying fruits. 200 were not carrying anything. So that was total loss. No insurance, nothing. I had to even pay 10,000 as far back for them to clear the rubble so that we can even work in the farm. So I now looked at it. The ones that were almost matured, what do I do? Before that time, I had gone to incubation center in Odogbolu to be an incubator so that I can learn how to process. And so I just went back, harvested the plantain, took it there. So they processed it for me. Then before that time, I had joined Lagos MSME on they do yearly exhibition, trade fair, MSME fair. So, and I was going with soap and starch so as to keep my space. But I knew I was going into agro food. So now I have plantain flour. I said, how can I go with only plantain flour? I started thinking again. That year, was it September, October, or November? Or was it December? One of the months. I went to that fair in Agege with 12 products.
Wow.
From nowhere. Meanwhile, I'd been wanting to do processing, but I kept procrastinating. Then I said, my story became like the children of Israel. You have dwelt long enough on this mount, so God will chastise them so that they can move. So that was the chastisement I got so that I can move forward to the next level. So that was my journey into agro processing. And so when I started again, because I was doing ginger, on my label, if anybody has any of my label for my spices, you will see one of the things that you can use it as immune booster. So which means you can take 1 spoon and pour it in hot water, take it as tea. So I found out that most people that were buying from my daughter at trade fair were using it for that purpose as immune boosters. Then I had spices separate. I had herbs separate. Herbs like moringa, lemongrass, bitter leaf, scent leaf. I had them as separate products. So early in 2023, the spirit just said, people have accepted this thing as tea. Why not work on it? So I started working, researching, and doing everything. So that's how it came about tea. So in March, there was this funded trip exhibition to Dakar by ITC, Wacom. So we went to Dakar, and from Dakar, the tea was accepted. Wow. So when I came back, and then my Dakar story is another story, because from Dakar, I came back to Nigeria by road. Dakar, I came back by road. It took me 5 days, but I stopped 2 days at Côte d'Ivoire. It took me 5 days to enter Côte d'Ivoire. Not having any bath, you just brush. And funny, so I stayed 2 days in Côte d'Ivoire. Then I left Côte d'Ivoire. In fact, on one of the trips, because by the time we got to the border, this is dangerous now, where they had locked the border of Ghana, Côte d'Ivoire to Ghana. So how do we cross? The people were in the vehicle together. They had a way to cross through the water, and the water would be canoe padded, not. And we got there inside heavy rain, past 8, no light, because I had said I was going to find hotel and sleep, so I had to join padded canoe. So we crossed, and I went to. That's the story, but you see, that experience for me was a lifetime experience that you cannot buy. Because when you're talking about the West Coast, you're talking about AFCFTA and co. I can talk to anyone about it perfectly. So I came back, I perfected my label, because the label I took was what I designed myself on Canva. I use a pro account on Canva. ITC taught us to, and then they worked with Canva and they gave us reduced rate to get a pro account. So I now came back, I gave it to a professional who now worked on it. And
okay,
this is one. This is bitter leaf and scent leaf, if you can see it.
Okay.
I have 10 variants of tea. Wow. This is moringa, ginger, and lemongrass. I have this. This is hibiscus, ginger, and cinnamon. Various ones. So we did that, and so later in the year, I was like, I cannot register them with NAFDAC if I do not, because you want to go international. So you must have, don't mind anybody who tells you that NAFDAC is not necessary. NAFDAC has a mandate to register imported, exported, and drugs into this country and food. So the country you are going to will not need NAFDAC because they have their own in-country regulation. But you must comply with your own in-country regulation and then comply with the country you are going to. So you have 2 regulations. So then 2, by the time you get to commercial quantity, you cannot move it out of this country if you don't have NAFDAC. You can be moving small and nobody worries you. But by the time you now begin to have huge orders and you don't have NAFDAC number, then you ain't going nowhere. So people should understand that today. So I started working on that. Now my journey to where I am presently. And so a lady met me, Lagos MSME Fair in December 2023. I said, ma, you do herbal. you don't have NAFDAC. I said, yes, I want to register NAFDAC now that I'm just fine-tuning everything. I said, NAFDAC will not register it except you go to Lagos Traditional Medicine School, because they want to be sure that you are now capable. Government, you have been licensed by the government to be able
Make
to produce
herbal.
herbs, make herbal products. So, I'm never a slow person. Immediately I went to pick the form. I resumed. It's a 6 weeks course. What they do is that you're not coming to come and learn afresh, but they expect that you know what you're doing. Their own is to just help you fine tune it and now give you a stamp to say, okay, you can practice. So while we were in school, it now came up to that my eyes now became more open. So it now didn't stop at tea alone, because then I discovered while we were in school that if I can talk to anyone about their lifestyle, counsel anyone about lifestyle, about their nutrition, about their diet, about their behavior, about their emotions, and then we both agree on what the result will come out to, 50% of problems affecting people will be gone. Some people don't even need to take anything. Because from your emotions, from your lifestyle, from so many things, that's where stress comes up. And stress is a big, serious killer. And it helps to develop into many other ailments. So when I had that one, and they were going to license us to also have a clinic, so I followed through. So that's the story why I have a clinic today. The clinic is to, one, people must boost their immunity, because it is when your immunity is compromised that ailments easily remain. So if every time, whether you are nursing anything, you're not nursing anything, everyone must be ready to boost their immunity. That's where the teas I do come in. Therefore, so then the counseling, and that apart from that, what I have learned, and then what others that were in the class, because we were about 80 in the class, and they all have different things they do. So if I have a patient who needs other things, then I know who to recommend to. And then two, we were all attached to the primary health center in our local government. So if I treat any patient today, yes, I must report to the local government primary health center. If I refer somebody either to another person out of us within the school board, or to now a primary health center or secondary or tertiary, I must document all those things, and it must be submitted to the state, because the primary health center, primary health centers are the first set of orthodox treatment contact for people. After that one, it's those things that they cannot handle, they send to secondary, which are the general hospitals around. Then when those ones cannot handle, they now send it to tertiary, which is LASUT and LUTH. So now I know I have joined the story to so many things. So now let me listen to you.
Okay,
Thank
ma.
you.
Okay, ma. So, you mentioned that the first product that you made was the plantain flour, and that came out of that situation. It wasn't even planned; it was just a remedial. Is that still something you do now, or you have moved away from food into herbal remedies?
Thank you so much. In fact, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to move away one. When we were all entering into it in 2020, it was because then the federal government, through the then Vice President of Shibajo, Pastor Shibajo, was giving MSMEs, microprocessors, palliative, facilitated palliative for us to register with NAFDAC. And we were allowed to register 5 products at 5 naira less than 8 naira, 7,995. So most of us entered and we were registering the same thing, chili, ginger, and co. Then a lot were not doing plantain flour then. But with time, because some of us saw that it was moving, Nigerians, if we hear in those days, if you know that it is pure water that is selling, all of us will run to pure water.
Yeah.
So if we hear that it is sand, everybody. So now the market is saturated, and that wasn't what some of us bargained for. It's good. One market is not made for everybody, for one person. So everybody can find their own niche. But I just found out that by the time you go for any exhibition, all of you are selling almost the same thing. So for me, that was why I went into a niche area. Before you go into it, one, you will spend money, because till today, and having this clinic, I've spent close to 2 million just from December till today.
Wow.
So it's not an area where everybody can run to. Two, I stay at Bagada. By 7:30, I'm in Onikon, where the school is, Obalende. So we're doing that 3 times a week. So for anybody who wants to go there, you must just be ready that you are called to go. And now saying my story, it was when we finished from school, I knew that this was where God was taking me to, because I became fulfilled as a person. That running business, now I know I am fulfilled. Before, I'll just do this. So answering your question means it is herbal that I want to go into. But that's not to say those who have known me and like what I do, you can still order, because I do training, I do contract manufacturing, and I also do souvenirs for people. I pack souvenirs for people.
Okay.
So if any order comes, I can fulfill it. But if you ask for my product that I'm going to be advertising most of the time, it's my herbal.
Okay. So for the people who have known those other products, they can always make orders for those products. But for every other person, it's the herbal products that you're pushing out now currently. Okay. I know that when we were growing up, my great grandma, she dealt with agbo, that's herbs, right? And my grandmother after her also, she did agbo. And when you go and visit, and you eat all these sweet things, after eating all these sweet things, they'll now line us up, all the grandchildren, to drink agbo. And you had to drink that agbo, because if you don't drink agbo, then there's no Walls ice cream for you. So it's agbo and Walls ice cream together. That being said, do you think that the traditional health and wellness industry in Nigeria has gained acceptance among consumers? Because you then found out that you find out that some are pro traditional medicine, and some others are not. Some people would rather go for the orthodox medicine. But in your own experience, do you think there's an acceptance among consumers for traditional health and wellness?
Thank you. Let me start that. People are gradually coming towards traditional and herbal medicine. And let me just explain. What do they call traditional and herbal medicine? Once you are not in orthodox line or allopathic line, you are a traditionalist. Even faith-based, those who use oil to pray for people, those who use only water to pray for people, or Bible, you are in the line of herbal.
Okay, I think that's the network. I think that's network. I hope the network comes back pretty soon. Okay. Oh gosh. Our guest went off there. I think it's the network. I'm sure she'll be back shortly. Network has been interesting in the past couple of days. We've been having an interesting conversation so far, and we've been talking about traditional and herbal medicine and its acceptance in Nigeria. I'm sure my guest should be back on soon. I think the network is the challenge. Let me see. Okay, she's not back in just yet. But if you have any questions for my guest, please drop those questions in the comments. And when she comes back in, we'll be sure to talk about those questions. Okay, I'm just trying to see. Okay, um, I don't see her in just yet. Right. Okay, so my guest was just talking about who a traditional medicine practitioner is. And according to the definition that she was given, anyone who is not the orthodox in the orthodox medicine line is a herbal or traditional medicine practitioner. That's quite an interesting definition. And she was talking about the acceptance of traditional and herbal medicine in Nigeria and the movement towards it gradually. And that's what we were discussing before she went off. I'm sure that she should be back in very soon now. I can't see her. Okay, yes, it was a network, ma. It was network. Um, you can come back in. Just send me a request and we'll go back live. I thought as much that it was network. Um, yes. It's good to have you back. Um, Let me just check if I can see your request. I can't see your request yet, so that we can add you back online. We're having a very, very interesting conversation before network decided to interrupt us. And we're going to finish this conversation. I'm very sure we will finish the conversation because my guest will come back in and then would continue the conversation. So stay with us. It's just a network glitch, and I'm sure she'll be back shortly. I can't see first. Okay, let me just. I have sent you a request to join. Um, can you confirm that you can see my request, ma'am? Um, okay. Can you still hear me? Can you confirm that you can still hear me, ma? This is just network. Okay. Um, I'm not sure she can still hear me. Um, Her providers, okay. My guest network, she's having challenges with her network. And her providers don't seem to be working. I'm sure that she's trying to